All right, let's dive into this. Private chauffeur, right? You want to nail that interview.
That's right.
We've got some great stuff here from RoleCatcher to really help you prep. They've got their career guide, the interview guide,
Absolutely.
and some cool AI stuff we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, like, what even is this job, really? Beyond, driving people around, what does a private chauffeur actually do?
Yeah. So it's a lot more than just driving.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right. It's not just driving people around. It's about safety. It's about being on time. It's about being the master of navigation and traffic.
Right.
And think about it like, what's the overall goal? Like, what's the scope of this job? And really, it's getting your client, your employer, to where they need to be on time and totally stress-free.
Right.
Like, you are, almost like an extension of them. Like, you're making sure that they're comfortable and taken care of.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Like, everything's perfect. Okay, so that's the big picture.
Now let's get into the interview. Like, what are some of the actual questions?
Yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, what are they going to ask me?
All right, so first up, definitely expect this one. What motivated you to become a private chauffeur?
Okay, so I shouldn't just say, because I like to drive?
Right? You can say you like driving, but you got to connect it back to the service aspect, right?
Okay.
So maybe you really enjoy anticipating people's needs. Maybe you like the idea of creating a comfortable environment for your passenger.
Okay.
Or, you really enjoy the challenge of navigating these complex situations, the traffic, the routes, all that stuff.
Right, yeah. So it's about that customer service aspect of it.
Absolutely. It's all about the passenger experience.
So, almost like you were saying before, I'm an extension of them, so I want to make sure that their experience is perfect.
Exactly, yeah. And they might even ask a follow-up question like, well, what kind of experience do you have that would make you excel in this role?
Okay. And what would I say to that?
So this is where you want to highlight any relevant driving experience you have. It doesn't have to be as a private chauffeur.
Okay.
Did you drive for a ride-sharing service?
Right.
Did you volunteer for any organization where you had to drive people around?
Yeah.
Even delivering pizzas. Anything like that shows that you have those customer service skills and that you're comfortable behind the wheel.
Right. It's about connecting those dots for them.
Yeah.
Showing that, hey, I've done all this other stuff, so this is just, the next step.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's next?
All right. So safety is obviously huge, right?
Yeah.
So be prepared for the question, how do you ensure passenger safety during a ride?
Okay.
All right. So here you really want to showcase your proactive approach, right? So you talk about things like pre-trip inspections.
Right.
Do you practice defensive driving techniques?
Okay.
Are you aware of all the traffic laws?
Right, yeah.
Maybe even mention something like staying updated on weather conditions, just to show that you're thinking ahead, that you're anticipating potential hazards.
So it's about going above and beyond, being extra careful and showing them you're really thinking about all that.
Yeah, they want to see that safety is your top priority.
Makes sense. Okay, give me a tough one. Like, what's a question that's going to really, make me sweat a little bit?
All right, how about this? Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult passenger. How did you handle it?
Ooh, I've been that difficult passenger, I'm sure.
We all have those stories, right?
Yeah.
But the key here is to demonstrate grace under pressure.
Okay.
Right. So did you remain calm? Did you de-escalate the situation? Were you able to find a solution while remaining professional the whole time?
Okay, yeah. So not get sucked into their drama.
Exactly. Stay cool, calm, and collected.
And I bet it really helps to have a specific example.
Oh, absolutely. Having an anecdote ready to go makes your answer way more impactful.
Okay, that makes sense. It shows you've thought about this. You're not just, throwing out some generic answer.
Yeah, it shows real-world experience.
All right, so we've talked about, like, why I want this job.
Right.
My experience, safety.
Yep.
And even, like, dealing with those tricky situations, right?
Absolutely, those tough passengers.
What else is coming my way?
All right, so route planning is a big one.
Okay.
So they might ask something like, what factors do you consider when planning a route for a passenger?
Okay.
So obviously, time of day,
Right.
traffic, construction, road closures, all that.
Yeah, those are the obvious ones.
Right. Those are the givens, but you want to go a step further.
Okay.
Think about things like, does your client have any preferences?
Go ahead.
Do they like to take scenic routes?
Oh, interesting.
Do they have any maybe time constraints or, specific places they need to avoid?
Right, yeah. So it's about Like really being thoughtful.
Exactly. You're not just following the GPS blindly.
Right.
You're thinking ahead.
Like I'm anticipating those needs,
You
right?
got it. And here's where RoleCatcher's AI can actually be a real game changer.
Okay, AI. How's that going to help me with route planning?
So it can analyze that job description, pull out those keywords that the employer is looking for, things like route optimization
Yeah.
or client preferences, and then it can suggest ways to weave those terms right into your answers.
Oh, that's cool. So it's like I've got this, little cheat sheet
Exactly.
that's telling me exactly what to say.
Takes the guesswork right out of it.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, that's really helpful. So we've got the route planning. What about the car itself?
Oh, good point.
Like, are they going to want to know if I can change a tire?
Well, maybe not change a tire, but they'll definitely ask about, keeping the car in tip-top shape.
Mhm.
So expect a question like, how do you maintain the cleanliness and condition of the vehicle?
Right. Okay.
And it's not just about cleanliness, it's about showing them that you're professional. You take pride in your work. So you mentioned things like regular detailing,
Mm-hmm.
checking the tire pressure, fluids, even being proactive about noticing any minor issues.
Oh, okay.
Like, a little scratch or a light that's...
Before it becomes a big problem.
Exactly. You're on top of it.
Okay.
You're showing that you're meticulous. You pay attention to detail.
Right, like it's my own car. I'm taking care of it.
Precisely. Now, it goes beyond just the car itself. They might also ask, how do you ensure confidentiality and privacy for the passenger?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, especially if you're driving, someone high profile.
Exactly. You got to be discreet, no gossiping,
Right.
no posting on social media. You're
Mhm.
not discussing their business or their personal life with anyone.
Right.
You're a vault.
Okay.
So you want to talk about things like handling their belongings with care,
Mm-hmm.
maintaining a professional distance.
Right.
They want to know that their information is safe with you.
So it's about, being the ultimate professional, not just, driving, but in how I interact with them, everything.
Absolutely, yeah. And to make sure your answers really hit the mark, RoleCatcher's AI doesn't just highlight those keywords. It can actually analyze your practice responses.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it'll give you feedback on your clarity,
Okay.
your word choice, how well you're conveying those key themes.
So it's like having, a little interview coach in my pocket.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so we've covered, why I want the job,
Mm-hmm.
my experience, safety, dealing with difficult passengers, planning the route, taking care of the car, confidentiality. Is there anything else they could possibly ask me?
Well, nobody wants to think about it, but they might ask, how would you handle an emergency situation during a ride?
Oh, okay.
So, what if you got a flat tire?
Right.
What if the passenger had a sudden illness?
Right. Yeah.
So they really want to see you demonstrating quick thinking and that you're putting passenger safety above all else.
So even if I don't have like a specific plan,
Yeah,
just having thought about it will help me answer that better.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, this is a lot to digest, but I feel like I'm already like way more prepared just from talking about this.
That's great to hear.
So what else can RoleCatcher help me with as I'm like really getting ready for this thing?
Yeah, let's get into that. It's great that you're feeling more prepared. Confidence is really key in any interview. It really comes across.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of being prepared,
Okay.
they might ask something like, how do you stay up to date on driving regulations and laws?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. It shows that you are committed to safety and that you're, a real professional. So you want to be ready to talk about how you keep yourself informed, what you do.
Yeah. Okay. What would be some good examples of that?
So, you could mention things like regularly checking for updates
Okay.
from your local DMV, taking, those refresher courses, maybe in defensive driving.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe even subscribing to industry publications.
Okay.
Things like that just show that you're really proactive about staying current.
It's not just about, knowing the rules. It's about that commitment to learning.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about like the actual questions that I'm going to get.
Right.
But what about like the bigger picture? Like what are some insights from RoleCatcher's career guide about actually landing this job?
Yeah, so they emphasize the importance of gaining experience, even if it isn't, directly as a private chauffeur.
Okay.
So think about driving for a ride-sharing service,
Mhm.
those delivery companies,
Right.
or even volunteering for organizations that need drivers.
Okay.
Things like that. It's all about getting those miles in.
Right. Getting comfortable behind the wheel in different situations.
Exactly. It shows that you're a seasoned driver, not just
Mhm.
someone who, enjoys driving their own car around town.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I'm willing to work hard to get that experience.
Yeah. And it shows commitment too, which employers love.
Okay. What else does the career guide say?
They recommend thinking about additional certifications,
Okay.
things that can really make you stand out. So, defensive driving courses, first aid CPR training,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even learning some basic car maintenance.
Okay.
These can all give you an edge over other candidates.
Like adding those extra tools to my tool belt.
Exactly.
It shows that I'm really invested in this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, cool. What else?
They also highlight the importance of networking.
Quick.
So attending industry events,
Yep.
joining professional organizations,
Okay.
even connecting with other chauffeurs online.
All right.
Just things like that. It can really open doors to opportunities. You never know who you're going to meet or what you're going to learn.
Yeah, networking, that's not my favorite thing. Makes me a little nervous, honestly.
I get it. It can be a little daunting, but think of it more as, building relationships,
Yeah.
learning from other people in the field, and you never know where a conversation might lead. And this is actually where RoleCatcher's AI can also come in handy.
Okay, with networking. How does that work?
Yeah, so if you opt in, it can actually match your profile with potential employers
Really?
who are, actively looking for candidates with your skills and experience.
Wow. So it's not just me finding them, they might find me.
Exactly. It's like having a digital headhunter.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So we're, working smarter, not harder, right?
Yes, yeah.
I like it. Okay, so back to the AI. We were talking about how it can help me tailor my answers to specific jobs.
Yes, exactly.
So how does that work?
So it can analyze those job descriptions, right? It pulls out the keywords that the employers are looking for,
Okay.
and then it suggests ways to just weave them naturally into your answers.
Okay, so instead of just giving like a generic answer, I can make sure I'm, really hitting those key points.
Precisely.
Okay.
And it's all about showing them that you've taken the time to understand the role
Right.
and that you're a perfect fit.
That makes sense.
Now, it goes beyond just the keywords. It can also analyze your practice responses.
Really?
Yeah, give you feedback on your clarity, your word choice, how well you're conveying your skills and experience.
So like I said before, it's like having a virtual interview coach.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got like this amazing AI that's helping me find jobs, tailor my applications, practice my answers. Like this thing does everything.
It's a pretty powerful tool.
What else is in the career guide?
Well, they do a great job of outlining the different career stages of a private chauffeur.
Okay.
So it helps you see this isn't just a job, it's a potential career path
Oh, I like that.
with room for growth and advancement.
Okay, tell me more about these different stages. Like, what does that look like?
Okay, so typically it starts with an entry-level chauffeur position.
Okay.
This is where you're mastering the fundamentals.
Okay.
Safe driving, navigation, customer service. You're building those skills and your experience.
So it's like getting my driver's license for the professional chauffeur world.
I love that analogy.
Right.
Oh.
Perfect.
Okay, so what's next?
So from there, you might move up to like a junior chauffeur. You're taking on more responsibilities. You might be handling more complex routes.
Okay.
You might start to deal with a wider variety of client requests.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even, starting to supervise other drivers.
Okay, so I'm starting to show a little bit more leadership, like I'm becoming more of an expert.
Exactly.
Okay, and then?
And then often the next step is, senior chauffeur.
Okay.
Now you're a seasoned professional.
Right.
You're handling even more demanding routes. Maybe you're working with those high-profile clients.
Okay.
And you're really honing those skills of like discretion and anticipating needs. Yeah, I can see it now. Like I'm driving diplomats or celebrities through like busy city streets.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. All right, what's the ultimate?
So the pinnacle of the profession is executive chauffeur.
Ooh, okay, now that sounds impressive.
Yeah, now you're at the top of your game. You're likely working for a very select clientele.
Okay.
You're handling like incredibly complex itineraries.
Mm-hmm.
And you've really mastered the art of seamless and discreet service.
Like I'm the CEO of chauffeurs, basically.
Pretty much.
Okay, cool. So it's really cool to see that this is like a real career path. Like there's, room for advancement. It's not just this one job.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
It is.
And RoleCatcher's career guide, it actually breaks down each stage.
Okay.
It outlines those skills, the experience, and responsibilities that are typically associated with each level.
So it's not just about like getting that first job. It's about understanding, where that job can take me.
Exactly. And it helps you set goals.
Right.
Identify areas where you want to continue to develop
Okay.
and really, envision yourself thriving in this profession.
I like that. Okay, this has been so motivating. Like, I feel really empowered right now. But before we move on, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, the high-profile clients.
Okay.
What are some, specific things I need to think about when I'm driving those kinds of people?
Yeah, that's a great question. So high-profile clients, that often includes celebrities, politicians, business executives,
Right.
Anyone else who really values their privacy and security.
So, discretion and confidentiality are, the biggest things, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need to be a vault of secrets.
All right, got it. Lips are sealed.
No gossiping, no posting on social media, no discussing their affairs with anyone.
Okay.
But it goes beyond just, keeping quiet.
Okay.
You also need to be hyper aware of their security concerns.
Right.
That might mean, being familiar with evasive driving techniques,
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay.
knowing how to handle, paparazzi
Okay.
or any unwanted attention, and always being one step ahead when it comes to potential risks.
So, I'm part chauffeur, part bodyguard.
In a way, yes. And you need to be comfortable with that level of responsibility.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm guessing RoleCatcher's AI can help me prepare for these kinds of scenarios as well.
Absolutely. Their interview prep tools can guide you through, crafting those answers that really demonstrate your understanding of discretion, security, and the unique challenges of working with high-profile individuals.
Wow, this is such valuable information. I feel like I'm really getting an insider's look into the world of private chauffeuring. What else should I be thinking about as I'm getting ready for this interview?
Yeah, so this has been a really in-depth look at what it takes to be a private chauffeur.
It really has. I
Yeah.
feel like, I've learned so much.
Yeah, and it's all about being prepared, knowing what to expect.
Right.
And, we've talked a lot about, the technical skills, the interview prep. But there's also, a human element to this job that can't be overlooked.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But, it's not just about, driving a car.
Right, exactly.
It's about creating an experience for the passenger.
Yeah, it's about that personal touch.
Right.
So as you're getting ready for this interview, think about how you can really showcase those, those interpersonal skills.
Oh.
Are you a good listener? Do you have a knack for making people feel comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Are you adaptable?
Right.
Can you anticipate needs?
Yeah, those are really important qualities.
They are. They're essential.
You almost have to have, a sixth sense
Yeah.
for what the passenger might need before they even realize it.
Precise. You're on the same wavelength.
Right, right.
And those skills are just as valuable as knowing how to, parallel park on a busy street.
Yeah, for sure.
So in the interview, be ready to give examples of how you've used those soft skills in the past.
Okay, what would be a good example of that?
So maybe you had a job in customer service where you had to deal with, those difficult customers.
Yeah, I've definitely had a few of those.
We all have.
Yeah.
Or maybe you volunteered in a role where you had to interact with, a diverse group of people.
Okay.
Think about those situations where you had to be patient, understanding, and able to, communicate effectively.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's about showing them that, I've been in these situations before.
Right.
And I can handle them.
Exactly. You've got the experience.
Good.
And, RoleCatcher's AI can help you identify those soft skills that are mentioned in the job description.
Okay.
To make sure you're highlighting them in your answers.
Yeah, it's like having a personal stylist for my interview responses.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Making sure they're tailored to perfection.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay, I'm ready.
As you prepare for this interview, take some time to visualize yourself in that role. Okay.
Picture
yourself behind the wheel of, a luxury car, smoothly navigating the roads,
Yeah.
providing, an exceptional experience for your passenger.
I love that. Set the intention.
Exactly.
Create that vision.
It's all about mindset.
Yeah.
And remember, with the right preparation, the right tools like RoleCatcher,
Right.
and that right mindset, you can turn that vision into reality.
Okay.
So go out there, ace that interview, and take the wheel of your future.
I love it. That's great advice.
I hope it helps.
It does. It really does. This deep dive has been so helpful.
Glad to hear it.
I feel so much more confident,
That's what we want.
and prepared to tackle this interview. Thank you so much for all the insights
Of course, it was my pleasure.
and the guidance. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. And good luck on your journey to becoming a private chauffeur.
Thank you.
I'm confident you've got what it takes.